So I just got finished watching Solo Leveling Season 2, and my son just got finished watching it as well. Great show, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to Season 3, but it did bring about a conversation which I know you've probably had, you've probably heard other people have as well, but it's something that plays on my mind on a daily basis because of the stories that I write and because of the reason that I write stories and because of my aspirations for what I want to do with my stories in the future as well. And that is the fact that I've gone back and looked at Solo Leveling, the manhwa, because I like to go back and look at the source material when I watch an anime or a TV show or a film, just so that I can get a better idea of what they've taken from it, what they've left behind, maybe get a little look into the deeper lore and have a different experience of the story, more than likely a deeper experience of the story. Because let's face it, authors can do things in books which screenwriters just cannot do for the screen. They just can't. It's not possible. It's two completely different formats. So yeah, I went back and I had a look at it, and I didn't read too far on because obviously I don't want to spoil the anime for myself. I don't want to spoil the anime for my son. An actual fact, it's not something that you probably should do, because a lot of the time what screenwriters will do is they'll take things from different points of a story and introduce it into the screenplay, and therefore you might only read like chapter 1 to 6, but you end up reading something that's in a later season of a TV show or the first film of a series, because the screenwriters decided to put it at a different point of the show or the movie. So anyway, all that aside, I'm thinking to myself, like, does everybody do that? Do you care whether you read something before you watch it or not? And like I said, the reason that this was playing on my mind is because when I'm writing stories, I write really, really visual stories. And I don't mean that I describe every visual element of a story. That's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is the way in which I see and transcribe the story that is going on in my imagination is purely visual. It's absolutely visual. And I'm not sure if I'm in the minority or the majority here, because I haven't spoken to other authors about their process, but I see things happening as I'm writing them down. I'm visualizing the scene. I'm there with the characters, or I am in the character at the time of writing, so that if someone were to come up to me and say, "Oh, I really like this scene in your book. Is there any chance you could help us, put together the art for maybe the storyboard art or what have you?" I'll be like, yeah, no problem, because I've got every single frame of this in my memory, in my imagination, ready to go. Not that you couldn't have an exact adaptation, I don't think, onto the screen, or maybe for some short stories that I've written, maybe you could. But the fact of the matter is, the reason that I say obviously it's something that I want to do in the future is because I write my stories like this just because that's my process. But it does give me the opportunity to kind of move into making more visual stories later on down the line. So I hope that in the future, if I have the time, I'll be able to start working on more animations and maybe even push into TV and movies. But I think animation is kind of the next step for me. I haven't done actually that many manga or comics, so I think that will be the sort of bridge. The more manga and comics that I can create, the closer I'll get to actually creating an anime, and then obviously we can hopefully go from there. But I mean, to be honest, creating board games is kind of a hobby and a passion, but it's really nothing to do with the story making process. That's just something that I really, really love to do. But it does give me the opportunity to visualize some of the elements, some of the characters, some of the world building, and some of the themes and what have you in a visual and physical format. So that's really fun. But I was speaking to my son about it, and I was saying, look, we don't want to get too caught up in the manhwa, because obviously we're going to spoil it for ourselves, and now we've got to wait for the next season. My daughter was really excited about waiting for the next season of Spy Family, which we watched together. That's kind of a daddy-daughter thing that we do. And again, I haven't delved into that at all because I don't want to spoil it. I just want to be surprised when I watch it and enjoy it for what it is. But when I'm writing, I often think to myself, like, are there people out there who watch TV, who watch movies? And this is why I wanted to discuss this with you, really, because I just want to get an idea of whether these people actually exist in the world, because I think I'm one of them. Are there people out there who sit down and watch TV, they watch movies, right? They watch anime, but they're not really that motivated or inclined to pick up a book, like pick up a novel and go from cover to cover, or pick up a novella and read it in an afternoon. You know, I know people find it easier to read manga and manhwa and comics because obviously you can kind of read them in sections. I remember when I picked up Gantz for the second time, and I read that digitally first, and then when I actually got the volumes, the volumes was like thick. Obviously you've seen them. I could grab one here and let me just grab it quickly and I can show you the size of the volumes because they are absolutely huge. I'm not exaggerating. So yeah, this is Gantz Omnibus 4, and you can see how thick that is. It's like nearly as thick as like 4 fingers. It's really thick. But when I picked that up, I literally just read it cover to cover. I was just like, I was in, and I was just like, I wasn't going to move until I finished it. I even sat while my family were actually watching movies. They were watching TV and watching movies. In fact, they were watching a movie, and then I think they continued watching something afterwards, or the other way around. And I just sat and read Gantz because I was just like, once I'm in this story, I have to get to the end. It's brilliant. It's one that I really, really enjoy, and I've now read it 3 times, the entire story. But as I was saying, like, I'm not the kind of person, and I know this is one of these controversial issues, especially with people who have read my stories who might be authors themselves, and especially authors who have never read my stories, who don't know anything about me. They are so quick to criticize people who don't read all day, every day. As if like it's something that you have to do. I've tried to explain this to people, and I can't. I usually use like a sports analogy, and I hope you'll like stick with me for this because you are going to understand this, right? I've been criticized because I haven't read all of these classic stories, and the things that I have read have been few and far between. Okay, I'm a light reader, okay, but I absolutely love story, and yes, I've consumed so much television and movies, cartoons, anime, and manga and comics. But when it comes to novels and novellas, the things that I'm actually writing, I haven't consumed all that many. I just haven't. And people seem to have a problem with that because they assume that every reader is a good writer. All these authors keep saying this all over social media, you know, if you're a good reader, you're a good writer, which isn't true. Everybody knows that's not true. That's like saying, and this is the analogy that I always use, that's like saying somebody who sits back and watches football all day every day is a wonderful football player. They might be able to see the game, okay, but when you get onto the football pitch, it's a completely different thing entirely, right? You have to orchestrate yourself as part of the game. You're now physically functioning within the game. You now have to keep up with the speed of the game. You have a different perspective of the game, and everything becomes far more difficult when you're on the pitch than it does when you're up in the stands swearing and shouting at 19-year-old kids for not being able to control a ball or a pass that's fizzed into them at like 90 miles an hour. And the way that this really sort of, I don't know, I was going to say contrast. The way that this mirrors writing and any authorship for that matter is that you can consume a hell of a lot and learn about story. Yes, you can. But the fact of the matter remains that what we are not computers. We're not, machines. Okay. So if we consume information, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be able to use that information. Yes, we can regurgitate that information. So if you tell me, for example, a list of numbers and I can remember them, then I can tell you what that list of numbers were. But now, if you were to say to me, can you create a formula that's useful for this particular service, I'd be like, well, no, because I've never created a formula. All I've done is consume the numbers and regurgitate them. And it's like that with writing. It's like, if you have an imagination and you're able to articulate yourself to the point in which when you're slowing things down and you're writing, you can use your imagination, you can describe things, and you can write good prose, and you understand the nuances of character, and you understand how to formulate plot, and you understand your language, whether that be the English language or any other language, and you know how to structure your writing to a certain degree. And I'm not saying you are like Neil flipping Gaiman. I'm saying you can do it to the point where someone else can pick it up and read it and say, I understand exactly what's going on here, and wow, this brought about certain emotions in me, and I would like to continue reading this story and find out what happens next. You have done enough. You have done more than enough, because now you're at the stage where you need some outside help. You need other people to read it. You need beta readers, whatever, alpha readers, whatever, and you need people to come in and edit it. Well, not edit it, but you need someone to come in and read it, give you edits, go back, learn from the editor, work out how it is you're going to polish this story and make it the best version of the story that you can possibly be, so that you can put it in front of people and say, this is the finished version, please enjoy it as much as you possibly can. Now, all of that does not require someone to sit in a room and read for hours and hours and hours. It just doesn't. And I'm not saying it doesn't help. I'm not saying that doesn't help, because if you are that way inclined and you do read a lot of books, then I think you will be a much, much better author. And I could actually benefit from that. It's just that I'm not going to persecute myself for wanting to illustrate, to create board games, to create multiple titles at once, to use every ounce of my imagination and write every idea down and extrapolate everything I can from the ideas that I have, so that I can create as much content as possible, so I can pick the best things, focus on them, and deliver it to you as a reader and say, this is everything that I could come up with. This is every ounce, every single ounce, every drop of inspiration and imagination that I can possibly share with you. Or I could sit and read other people's stories, and then I could end up regurgitating what I've already written, because I don't have a good imagination, because all I ever think about is the things that other people write about. So at the end of the day, I don't see the need or the necessity to be an avid reader to be an author. But what I will say, because obviously the context of this video is more about obviously whether or not you're a reader or a watcher, whether you watch things or read things. In my mind, there are people like me out there who do watch television, watch movies, watch anime, and read a lot less than they watch, but would really enjoy the stories that I write because of the way that I write them, because I am you. Because if you are me and you enjoy things that, like, you enjoy being taken into a world and shown that world visually and be there almost physically when you're reading the words off the page, you're traveling along with these characters. I get the fact that, you know, there's very different ways to write a story, and some authors, they love to write really flowery sort of I don't know what to call it, just tangible prose. Like, you can almost taste the words coming off the page, like it's poetic and it's incredible. And while I like to put some little sort of little streaks of poetry into my writing, I like to be poetic, I like to be rhythmic, I like to be a little bit melodic sometimes with my writing, and I really, really like to push character and emotion, but keep it sort of on a really sort of I don't know, kind of a almost like a subliminal level. I think, yeah, I kind of do, to be honest. If I'm going to be honest, yeah, I do. I keep it really subliminal. I don't shout things at the reader. I don't tell the reader, this is what's happening, this is what this person's feeling. I describe what they're going through, and I give you a taste of the feelings that they're experiencing in that moment. And it's always in that moment because I'm always present tense. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry. But I love present tense because I want to be there in the story at the time. So because I do that, it's like once you get a few pages into the story, not even pages, probably even paragraphs, right? You're just there with the character. And that's how I read stories. So because I read stories like that, I've picked up books, and I've picked up famous books. I've picked up bestsellers, right? And I've been like a chapter and a half in and I've gone, I'm bored. I am just bored of this. Like, I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. I know what's happening. I know that this place is there. This place is there. That's the backstory of this. That's the backstory of that. You've given me all this world building. You've given me exposition. You've dumped all this prose on me, and you've told me what the beginning of the story is. But I'm bored already because I'm not sold. I'm not injected into the lives of the characters. I don't feel the empathy that I need to feel. I don't feel like I'm getting to know this person and I'm warming to this person. I'm empathetically just attached to this person. Like, if anything happens to this person, I'm going to be mortified. If this person doesn't get what they want, I'm going to be really upset, and I'm rooting for them. I don't feel like that. And I'm talking about big titles, not just new ones, but very old ones that have been turned into TV shows and films. Okay. And I know there's a lot of people that will argue with me, and it's just because it's such a subjective thing. It's just the way that I consume stories that probably then obviously colours my vision when I see the words on the page. Other people see them differently and really enjoy that kind of story. They really enjoy reading books that way. But I think because my influence has always been like very visual and very physical, I'm talking like action figures, games, toys, just TV, movies, cartoons, anime, and all of that. It's like when I open a book and read it, I kind of feel like a child. I just want to be swept away into that world as soon as possible. And I want my disbelief to be suspended throughout. And I want to be just amazed that I've been just neck deep in this book for hours and hours and hours. And that's how I felt with Gantz. That's exactly how I felt with Gantz. And I know that this is obviously a manga, but at the end of the day, if there were no images in that book and it was written how I write, I would absolutely eat that up. So I'm hoping that maybe I'm speaking to someone right now who feels the same way that I do, who feels like, you know, I love the stories that just pull me in, the stories that just let me find out for myself what's happening. Let me see for myself what's going on. Let me feel for myself how this character feels. You don't have to tell me absolutely everything. You don't have to draw all these lines and paint all these pictures for me. You can let me just travel and go on this journey with these characters and interpret the story for myself and live it for myself through my eyes, from my perspective. And that's the way I feel that stories should be told. So that's what I do. And a lot of the time people will say, oh, I need to know what happens next. Of course you need to know what happens next, because that person's story isn't over. It's like, I've intentionally done that. I remember when I released the first novella of the Tales of Arca series, and it was Song Prisoner of Fate, and it was actually going to be Desta, Child of Arca, but because Desta's story is kind of like, it's a little more of a calm, emotional story. It's not as I wouldn't say Song is action-packed, the first book, but it isn't as action-packed as Song. And so I wanted to start with a story that was really sort of more action-packed. And while Song takes place before that, it didn't need to be in chronological order. So, but I started with Song. I released the first book. I made it free. I let people read it. Plenty of people read it, and quite a few people were like, I really want to know what happens next. And what they didn't understand was, this is a novella that's part of a 3-part novella series. So there are 8, no, are there 10? I think, no, sorry, there were 8 novellas in the series when I started releasing them, when I planned them. But there's 3 of each. Yeah? So we're talking 24 books, right? So you can imagine if you're 1/3 of the way through a character's story, whilst there has been a beginning, middle, and end to that book, and the plot has obviously come to a climax and then ended and then wrapped up, and then you're being given like some little Easter eggs and tie-ins to what may happen next. Not too much, because I really hate that, and I cannot stand cliffhangers at the end of stories, because a story should end and the beginning of the next story should just come straight out of the gun, like bang, straight out of the gun. There is no need to leave the last story on a cliffhanger. It's so frustrating. But when I got these reviews and when I got the feedback for that story, a lot of it was, I really want to know what happens next. It's a great story, but I really want to know what happens next. I'm like, well, what do you mean, but? That's a good thing, because it's the first part of a 3-part story. But anyway, I think if you are that way inclined and you do really enjoy like visual stories, you're really going to love what I'm writing. I know that there's a lot of unfinished titles on the website, and I understand that might feel frustrating right now, but I have sort of picked up more momentum with this recently, because things have been happening in my private life and with work and everything else, and now I really am focused on pushing this, and I really do need your help and support as well. So look, if you are interested in reading these stories, please do go over to the website, get your free membership. If you want to support me, you can go and subscribe, you can register, become a member. It's like less than £4 to be a member. And then you can read all of the stories as they're written. And the more of you that go over there and subscribe, the faster I'm going to be able to write the stories, because at the moment I have hours and hours doing other things, and then I've got to come home and I've got to give hours and hours to my stories, and it's just very difficult to give a lot of time to what I really want to do when I've got to go and do other things. So the more of you subscribe, the less of that I have to do, and the more I can be sat writing and immersing you guys in these incredible worlds that I'm building for you. So anyway, I'm going to leave that video there. I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't feel like clickbaity, because I didn't talk too much about solo leveling, and I'm obviously you have seen it in the thumbnail. But the whole reason I made this video is because after watching Solo Leveling, you know what my first thought was? As soon as season 2 wrapped, I was thinking, this was good, but Tales of Arca is going to be unreal. Incredible. I don't think anybody is prepared for what I am capable of doing when it comes to animation. If I can get a team of animators on any of these stories, the visuals will be unreal. The action will be unreal. And the one thing that I did criticize about Solo Leveling, I don't know whether you're going to agree with me on this or not, is the fact that the power levels escalated so fast, it's left us at the end of season 2 thinking, how do you get much more powerful than this? It's like God tier. It's like, yeah, you're S rank, but you're beyond S rank, and you're God tier. How does it get any bigger than this? Like, people are just, tearing holes in reality themselves and stepping into dungeons. It's gone crazy, but I know those of you that have read it know a lot more than I do, and maybe it sort of balances out a little bit, but it's kind of like we're almost jumping the shark a little bit here. A little bit Dragon Ball Super-esque, where we get like ridiculously powerful characters in Dragon Ball Z, and then we go, oh, we're Super now, so we're up here, and then the powerful characters of the past become the weak characters of the present, but they still need to be on a par with the more powerful characters of the present, so everything tries to get condensed, but it then just doesn't make much sense. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting and raving, because I do love those shows and those manga. But anyway, like I said, please do support me if you can. I hope you're enjoying everything that I'm writing. I hope you're enjoying the videos. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Unreal. Gantz is amazing. But actually, do you know what? If you haven't read this, if you haven't read Gantz, I don't know why I'm advertising it, but it's nothing to do with me or my books or anything like that. I didn't write it. But please go ahead and take a look. You might enjoy it. You might not. I don't know. It's a weird and wonderful story. Just go and get it.
He didn't even mention Solo Leveling twice. He only mentioned Solo Leveling twice.